Since Carl Benz brought us the first ever model in 1886, the automobile has transcended its original purpose of serving as a source of transportation to become a symbol of power and elegance in a variety of guises, including the classic, the innovative, the iconic, and the futuristic. Since that time, the market has continued to be one of the most dynamic and fruitful ones anywhere in the world. The fascination of people all around the world with automobiles has resulted in some of the most stunning and ingenious applications of man's ability to create, and the end product may be just as opulent as it is desirable. This section of the Gentleman's Journal will provide you with our choices for the most beautiful things in the world. Number 5. An Aston Martin 177. 5. A concept for the best possible Aston Martin that can be driven on the road. Or at the very least, 2009 was the year when the 177 was initially introduced to the public, when Dr. Ulrich Bez, who was in charge of Aston Martin at the time, made the announcement that the company was going to produce a limited edition supercar with a price tag of £1 million, the automotive industry was taken aback. This was Aston taking a stand against other luxury automobile manufacturers such as Bugatti and Pagani and saying, "We'll have a slice of your best of the best action. Thanks very much, chaps." Even while the 177 had all of the typical Aston hallmarks, such as a wide-mouth grille, swept-back headlamps, an extended bonnet, and a cab-back posture with a pert tail, it was not merely some sort of powered-up, flared-out Vanquish spin-off coated in papier-mâché. The chassis of the vehicle was based on a race-specific carbon fiber monocoque, and it featured superb carbon subframes that cradled the front mid-mounted engine and inboard suspension components. After that, brand-new aluminum panels were installed to cover up this completely uncompromising layout. For this limited production of just 77 cars, bespoke lighting, wheels, doors, and glass were all machined using special molds and tools. A hefty £200,000 was required as a deposit in order to secure a build slot like Aston Martin, providing that you were extremely close to the top of the company's favored client list. That resulted in a beautiful round sum of £1 million sterling being due upon delivery. Number 4. A Lamborghini Murcielago automobile. A 6.5-liter V12 engine that can crank to 8,000 revolutions per minute, produce 631 horsepower, and propel the vehicle to a top speed of 205 miles per hour, and it appears to be this way. That is one badass automobile. That's correct. We don't need to go into detail about what the term badass actually means because phrases like naughty bottom car or antisocial derriere car don't have the same yank jive assonance. However, the word badass has excellent assonance. Not only is it the most badass Lamborghini ever made, but one might make the case that Lamborghini is the manufacturer of the most badass automobiles ever. This is, without a doubt, the most badass vehicle of them all. If you give it more than 3 seconds of your attention, you won't have any reason to think otherwise. Because it lacks a roof, the Roadster has an appearance that is much more menacing than the Murcielago LP640 Coupe, which already causes a strong reaction in people when they see it driving down the road. It's a mind-blowing concept car made real, then given one of the world's most fabulous engines and plenty of development time, with some of the world's greatest chassis engineers and test drivers. This masterpiece is visually stimulating enough to make pedestrian onlookers' heads explode in showers of blood and brain matter. I saw it happen. I swear. This masterpiece is visually stimulating enough to make pedestrian onlookers' heads explode in showers of blood and brain matter. It was designed by Luc Donkerwolke, a Belgian of Peruvian descent who is credited with making the Italians proud with his rough yet stunning supercar. This is a car that does credit to the magnificent Miura and other Italian supercars, drawn on paper by proper maestros while they smoked cigarettes and drew pencils in the other hand. This is a car that does justice to the Miura. I hope their fashion stays around for a while. Let's take advantage of the fact that monster cars like this one are even allowed to exist, shall we? Its unbelievable lowness and extreme breadth, along with its extraordinary proportions and profile, with its cab-forward posture and a long tail, contribute to its visual power to shock and awe. Number 3. A McLaren MP412C automobile. It is common knowledge that McLaren has had spectacular growth during the previous 6 years. Although the legendary McLaren F1 and the eccentric Mercedes ZLR lie above it on the company's family tree, the introduction of the MP412C marked the beginning of a new era for McLaren Automotive. A diverse lineup of automobiles produced in sufficient quantities in order to compete with the established social order. Things did not get off to a great start. There were a lot of individuals who were looking forward to the second coming of the F1, but they were left unsatisfied when the MP412C, which was redesignated 12C in the middle of its production run, was released. But now that cars like a P1 and 675 LT have truly established McLaren in the supercar world and ensured that the company will be around for a long time to come, those early cars are taking on something of a new life and regaining their former glory. Some people believe that they will one day become significant collector's items, namely the rare and priceless McLaren No. 1, which will be an essential component of many sports vehicle collections in the not-too-distant future. Due to the fact that their starting price is now set at £100,000, the phrase bargain may not be as appropriate in this context. It also indicates that the price of a brand new example of one of McLaren's Super Series cars is far lower than the price at which the company's Sports Series cars start. Is this the supercar that's fit for a canny person? Number 2. A Bentley Msan automobile. The flagship model of Bentley is not a bestseller, hence there are not many of these around. To put that into perspective, a two-door sedan that costs £230,000 will never reach the kind of popularity enjoyed by the Volkswagen Golf. Except maybe in China, where Bentley is having trouble keeping up with the demand of its rapidly expanding dealer network. The Msan is a new model as well, having been released in 2010, making it an exceedingly youthful vehicle in terms of Bentley standards. It's as imposing as a Bentley saloon ought to be, but it's not particularly attractive in the traditional sense. Number 1. Aston Martin DB4 GT Zagato from the year 1961. The DB4 GT Zagato was certainly one of the most exciting and gorgeous British sports cars because to its specially made body that was created by Zagato of Milan, despite the fact that it was not an extremely successful model. It was conceived with the intention of competing with the Ferrari 250 GT roller coaster, which held a commanding lead in the World Sports Car Championship at the time. Although the majority of the 19 cars were sold to private race teams, at least 4 of them were constructed to be driven on public roads. The first DB4 was introduced to the public in 1958 and was hailed as a successful Grand Tourer GT by critics all over the world. The DB4 borrowed a lot of technology from earlier Aston Martin race cars, such as its disc brakes, its independent front suspension, and its Superleggera body from the Touring of Milan. 1 year later, in September of 1959, Aston Martin was eager to take it to the track, so they introduced the GT model. The GT model featured various upgrades that better suited the DB4 for the rigors of long-distance racing. These included decreasing the amount of internal space, shortening the wheelbase, and making the bodywork lighter. The model was noted by its enormous hood scoop, which hid a potent version of the inline-six engine. This engine had triple Weber carburetors, twin-spark ignition, high-lift camshafts, and a 9-to-1 compression ratio, all of which contributed to the vehicle's 302 horsepower output. In addition, the model featured a close-ratio transmission, a dual-plate clutch, a Salisbury power lock differential, and larger Girland disc brakes. So this is the end of our today's video. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable response in our comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and informative videos.